today's video, this is episode number 13 of Elevate with Ankara, and I will be revealing to you the garment that I made for the month of April. But first, if you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're a returning person, thank you so much for your continued support. All right, let's get into it. If you are not familiar with the Elevate with Ankara sewing series, let me give you some background information. This is a sewing series put together by myself and Creativity by Talisha here on YouTube and on Instagram. And in this series, we are encouraging sewists to take basic, boring sewing patterns and elevate them using African wax print Ankara fabric. And so in this episode, I am going to be sharing with you what I made. Last episode, we introduced the garment for this month, which is a jumpsuit, aviator suit, boiler suit, whatever you want to call them. There's lots of options in this category, and we each chose something different. I actually don't know what she sewed up, but after you watch my video, head over to Talisha's channel and check out her finished garment. And I am so thrilled to share this with you. The pattern that I selected to use for this garment is Simplicity 8907. This is the pattern here. And I will insert a picture of the line drawing so that you can see the different view options. This is a Mrs. Jumpsuit romper dress in 2 length with an optional belt. And for this pattern, you will need elastic for the waistband as well as 5 buttons. And also you'll need 2 D-rings. And on here, it recommends 1 1/4 size D-rings. I will tell you that Talisha and I are trying to use supplies that we already have in our stash. So I only had 1 1/2 inch D-rings and it still worked out really nicely. The fabric isn't like sliding around in the D-rings or anything like that. It actually looks really nice. So, you know, if you don't have the right size D-rings and you don't want to go buy them, you will probably be fine. Now, you will need some interfacing, and that will be for the facing pieces on the neckband and button placket. The fabric recommendations for this pattern are batiks, chalets, chambrays, cotton types, gauze, lightweight denim, lightweight linen, poplin, and silky types. And after having made this, I can agree that all of those fabric options would be lovely in this pattern. The size range for this pattern is a size 6 to a size 22. All sizes are in the packet. And a size 6 is for someone whose body measurements are a 30.5 bust, 23 waist, and a 32.5 hip. And the largest size, a 22, would be a 44-inch bust, a 37-inch waist, and a 46-inch hip. I personally made a size 16, and the size 16 is for a 38-inch bust, a 30 waist, and a 40 hip. I did, however, grade from the hip down to a size 14. I typically have to do that because the size 16 accommodates my bust usually and also my waist, but not my hips and down. So I did make that alteration. This pattern requires 4 3/4 yard of 45-inch fabric, or you can use 3 3/4 yard of 60-inch with fabric. And while it does sound like a lot, I will tell you that I actually used more than 4 3/4 yard of fabric. I purchased my fabric from House of Mami Wata, and I wrote down the actual fabric name. This is the Super Rima fabric, and it's from Fabrics of Fashion. I guess those are the people who created it. Again, it's 100% cotton. I purchased a 6-yard bundle. I do want to mention that all Ankara fabric is not created equally. I have sewn with Ankara fabric that was very stiff and hard and wrinkly after you washed it. And this is not that. This is very soft to the touch. This is very nice, lays on the body really nicely and feels really nice on the body. Hopefully you guys can find this fabric at House of Mami Wata. But if not, definitely look for the Super Rima fabrics by Fabric of Fashion on her website. So check out House of Mami Wata and see if you can find some other prints from this company, because it is one of the softer Ankara fabrics that I have tried so far, and I really enjoyed sewing with it, and I'm enjoying wearing it as well. There are 9 pattern pieces in this pattern, and I used 8 of those 9 pieces. I omitted the chest pocket because I don't usually use those pockets, and I felt like with such a busy print, it would probably just get lost anyway unless I use a contrasting color of fabric, which I didn't plan on using. I spent about 4 hours sewing this jumpsuit. That did not include the amount of time that I spent actually cutting out the fabric. So the way I did that is I broke up this jumpsuit throughout the day. So I sewed a little bit, went and did some other things, came back and sewed some more, and then I finished up the alterations at night when my family was sleeping. Okay, so when I added up all the time, it added up to 4 hours. The pattern instructions, I would say, are pretty easy to follow. I didn't have any hangups. There was no point in the pattern where I was confused about what I needed to do. I do appreciate that this has a really nice facing on this jumpsuit, and there is no collar, so it was nice and easy. I also like the fact that there are 5 buttons. However, I will tell you that if you are like me and you're short-waisted, you may not need 5 buttons. I personally think that I will go in and deconstruct my jumpsuit, take an inch off of the length of the bodice, and omit that bottom button. I just have way too much room. It's very blousy, and while normally I want that because I am fuller busted, I am a triple D or even F depending on where you shop, bra cup size, and so I usually like having extra room in the bust area, but I think because of where the waist hits, I don't need as much fabric here and it just looks a bit bulky. So if you are short-waisted, I do recommend that you reduce the length of the bodice by 1 inch. Overall, I felt as though this jumpsuit itself was a bit more oversized than it appears to be on the model on the pattern. When I first made it and I made a straight 16, I looked in the mirror and it looked enormous on me, and so I had to really get like creative about where I was going to start reducing the width in the outer leg as well as the inner leg because the crotch was also really big. To reduce it down to what I would say is probably the next size down, which is the size 14. And also this is just way too big and loose. So I think that even when I make it next time, I may just go down to a solid 14. And I wouldn't be surprised if I still could use some alterations in the legs to make them a little bit smaller as well, even though I've gone down a complete size. I say that because you'll be able to see in the pictures that I do have some extra room and space in the pants. I find that rolling the jumpsuit up at the ankles and the arms helped to make it a little bit more fitted. And while I did want this to be a baggy jumpsuit, it does look more tailored and looks a bit cooler by rolling up the arms and the legs on the jumpsuit. I felt like it helped to smooth out some of those wrinkles and fit a little nicer on my body. I definitely recommend this pattern. I think that even if you are newer to sewing, if you're not afraid to try installing buttons, you will probably enjoy making this jumpsuit as well as wearing it. And I love the option of having the belt with the D-rings. Now, if you've ever made a belt before that didn't have D-rings, it had the other type of clasps. Those are more complicated to make, and also I find that I just struggle with inserting the, I don't know what it's called, eyelets and getting things straightened out and perfect. So having the D-rings means that you just have a long strip of fabric that you feed through the D-rings, and then you stitch a little end on it so it doesn't come off, and then you feed the fabric through the D-rings. You can loosen it and tighten it however you want, and it's just such an easy way to make a belt. I will say this though, in the instructions on the actual pattern piece, it did not say to interface the belt. I recommend that you interface your belt. I say that because it will be a little sturdier, a little heavier, and it will, I think, help to keep the shape of the belt once you've pulled it through those D-rings. I didn't interface my belt. It looks fine. It's still pretty. It's just that in other belts that I've made, I have found over time that I prefer it to be a little bit more stable. So just a note, if you want a more sturdy, stable belt, definitely interface your belt loops. And I'm wondering too why it didn't include that, because it's typically something that you would do is interface the belt. I definitely enjoyed making this jumpsuit. I will make more because I love the way it looked and it's very comfortable and I think it's very cute. I would love to figure out first my perfect fit and alterations that I need to make And then I'd like to try and make this out of corduroy. So my next version might be out of a lightweight denim or a chambray, but then my final version, or maybe mini versions to come, will be out of corduroy. I already have the corduroy picked in my stash, and I've been actually saving it to make this jumpsuit. So I think I might go that route next time because I really love the way the jumpsuit feels and how easy it was to make. Now, it is interesting looking at the long sleeve version, and I'll hold up my arm so that you can see. Now, it's not a sleeve that goes all the way to your wrist. So if you are a person who prefers a long sleeve that actually touches your wrist, then you will have to add some length to your sleeve. I personally find the length of the sleeve a bit odd. I find myself wanting to either roll it all the way up, or I find myself wanting to pull on my sleeve to make it longer. So I think my next versions, I will probably just go ahead and maybe make the short sleeve version when I do the chambray. I do think that if I make this in corduroy, I will either lengthen the sleeve or I will attach one of those loops on the inside of the sleeve so that I can pin the sleeve up with a button, because it just seems a bit awkward to have it this length, and using corduroy, it might be awkward and bulky if I just try to roll it up to the length that I want. I don't know. I'm playing with some ideas, so I might just go ahead and lengthen the sleeve on this guy. I definitely think that this is a jumpsuit that would flatter a lot of different body types. So if you're interested in picking this pattern up, I definitely encourage you to wait until the next Joann $199 sale. Overall, it was a really good jumpsuit to make. I enjoyed making it, and I definitely love the way it came out. I'm gonna get in close so that you can see a close-up of my buttons. I used my gorgeous buttons that I got from Tabitha Sewer, and this is what they look like. They're so gorgeous. They appear to have like crushed glass inside of them, and I didn't know how I was going to use these special buttons, and I've been holding on to them waiting for the perfect project. And I like that I chose this because I feel like any other button would just get lost in the print of my jumpsuit, but having these like silvery crushed glass buttons, they just kind of pop and stand out. I'm going to insert some pictures of me modeling this jumpsuit now, and if you know me, you know that I have a massive shoe collection, and I never know which shoes I really want to wear with my outfits. So I definitely wanted to try this jumpsuit on with some different shoes in my closet. I had tried a peak toe wooden heel sandal shoe it's like a cross between a boot and a sandal. Anyways, I tried that. I've also paired my jumpsuit with a pair of sneakers so that you could see what it looks like with some high top Converse sneakers. Those are one of my favorite pairs of sneakers. They have some really great positive affirmations written all over them. And I also paired them with some sparkly sequin flats to match my jewelry and my buttons. And I think that that's also a fun way to wear this jumpsuit. This jumpsuit would also look very cute in high heels, and I will insert some pictures of me wearing them with some basic black high heels. But I like that this jumpsuit is versatile enough to where you can change it up based off of how you're feeling and where you're going. If you want to dress it down, you can definitely roll up those sleeves, roll up the hem, and put on some sneakers. Or you can roll the sleeves down, roll the pants down, and put on some heels. This is definitely a versatile jumpsuit, and if you do it in the right fabric, it could take you from day to night, honey, okay? So I really enjoyed playing around with some different looks. My husband encouraged me to try this jumpsuit with some different shoes, and I'm glad he did that. So anyway, I really enjoyed making this jumpsuit. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to head over to Talisha's channel, Creativity by T, and check out what she made for this month's challenge. Have a wonderful day and a fantastic week. Talk to you soon. Bye.